Hello there, my beautiful and lovely gamers. My name is Jonal. Today we are talking about Ashe aim guide. If you saw me when I tried her on stream when she was first lead onto the PTR, I did talk about how she was very wonky and she feels very weird sometimes in the hands, especially aim wise. And there's a lot of small mechanical stuff that you should start to practice before she goes on live, because when she goes on live, everyone's gonna be playing her a quick play and so on, and you might get some time on her. But even on live servers, just getting this aim practice down, which will work just as fine on the live server as in PTR, before you have to bring her into rank, because as soon as you bring her into rank, and this hero is most likely going to be one hell of a solo queue climber if you have the accuracy with her. Before you bring her into rank, to be comfortable with her mechanics and her accuracy and her weird aim style, it's gonna be much better for you, so you can just focus on the whole gameplay style of her, what you're supposed to do, your positioning, and so on. Now, as always, I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Norwegian time, where you can ask me questions and so on. We do coaching, VOD reviews, where you can get your VODs reviewed on stream and so on. Also, team, we do breakdowns on Inferior Captain. We also, of course, play games. And it's again a good time. And as always, if you want to hire me as a private coach, bronze to top 500 doesn't matter. Your team, consoles, PC doesn't matter. It's with you for a 2-hour session, and it's linked to that Discord down in the description. And also my Twitter, in case you want to follow me for a little bit, sometimes more personal updates on what's going on in my life. Now, to set up a aim practice or an aim drill area, where you need to go into the custom games, and you need to essentially just follow these very, very standard setups. So you go to modes, you turn on skirmish, and you make sure that there's no health packs. That way the bots won't be running after the health packs. Put the map on King's Row. King's Row is a good map. We're going to use King's Row first point as a very good way of doing it, especially for Ashe. And then we do go on to Anabots. We disable everything. I'm talking Biotic Grenade. I ain't even talking quick melee, sleep dodge, primary fire, her ultimate, all off. And then you go to Ashe and you actually activate her coach gun and her dynamo, and you put that on 0% cooldown time, okay? Done with that, cool. Put yourself on the attacking team and spawn in 6 hard Anabots on that team 1. Then you can start. Now, what we want to do to make sure, especially if you haven't really gotten any aim practice down with her, you should try to then break it down into, kind of, I'll call it stages. The first one is just practicing her scope. This is the most important for Ashe, since this is her really accurate one. This is where you get most of the accuracy, a lot of the damage, and it's very important that you get really good with this scope. But it's a little bit weird, because if you think Ana and also Widowmaker, both of these get a movement decrease, right, as soon as you start scoping, making it theoretically easier to hit, right? With Ashe, it's not, especially if you're used to fighting with people with scope. Ashe don't have that much of a movement decrease, so you can actually strafe normally and shoot around, which is very powerful, but it's something that you need to get used to. So I highly recommend playing around the statue. The statue gives you that you can either coach gun up to either one, both the statue and this high ground that's highlighted on the map on the screen right now. Also, of course, the other high ground over here. And then you can, of course, since you're playing around statue, you have the little bit close combo where they come out of this door over here. And also when they're coming straight down through main, through the choke and playing on the objective side, you get that range, right? So therefore you have a lot of good different ranges to work on, where you can kind of get used to her scope and so on. If you're not very good with her accuracy, take your time with the shots. That's the most important. Remember, we are practicing. We're not trying to speed things up. I sometimes play on purposely out of LOS and treat the enemy as if they're shooting back at me. But if you're not that comfortable, take your time with the shots. Make sure it's much better that you use 1-2 seconds here in the Anabots to land each shot. Make sure that they hit them. And don't go for headshot if you're not that comfortable with it. Go for those body shots. Get that consistent hit right in. Then rather push up your hit accuracy. And this is the first thing you should be doing. Getting used to stuff like corner peeking with her, which you can do very effectively, right? Peek, shoot, peek, shoot, peek, shoot. Very, very effective. Start working with that on her as well. And if a bot, for example, runs around the statue, you can try to, coach gun yourself around the corner and shoot coach's guns yourself up mid-air and then shoot over something to get a better line of sight. This is stuff that's also very important to do when you get comfortable, just because being able to coach gun yourself over cover and then shoot straight down is a really good way to chase a kill, get that kill to occur. It's almost like a widow trick shot or grappling shot or whatever you want to call it. Just this with a shorter range, and it's actually not that predictable, since normally you can sometimes actually predict the widow shot as you see her hook sometimes goes up into the air. But besides that, you do that, then you're good. Now, besides that, there are a couple of things. First of all, is to being able to land her shotgun and then shoot the stuff midair. This is especially if you could push. So like Reaper, Junkrat, whatever is going on you, be a little bit aware of Genji since they can actually deflect and they have dash. Also Trace has a blink and recall. But what you can do is if you crouch, if you actually hit crouch and you aim a little bit higher, so about head height, you can actually sometimes knock them very, very far up into there. In general, if you just shoot a point blank, you still get a little bit of airtime. Being able to airtime scope shoot someone, if you land a headshot, if you land a full blast point blank with it, and you hit them in the head, it's a one-shot combo. Let's say that comes to Junkrat. Junkrat has pretty good hitbox, or you get close to the Zenyatta for some reason, right? You just shoot them, scope, boom, headshot, and they're down. They're out of the fight. That's a one-shot combo. You got that, right? That's really, really strong. So making sure that you do that is something that you should be practicing on. So I practice that a lot. I found it that if I want to get a little bit higher elevation, as I said, you can crouch and then shoot. So you can really quick crouch and shoot the coach gun, then scope and then shoot. It's a way for at least me to get a little bit extra. But it's definitely something that needs practice, as it's a little bit of a weird angle sometimes. And a lot of time you just manage to land a body shot, and that's fine because you can normally land one body shot, then they land, then you land another body shot as they try to strafe into cover. All that is good. Highly recommend practicing this combo, as it will probably be very essential for a lot of stuff like the survivability of the hero and the burst of the hero. Now, besides that, if you want to practice on dynamite throws, you can of course throw them around and shoot them with your hipfire, getting used to a drop zone. One of the good things is if you throw it like approximately, they will always edge into your crosshair, or at least most of the time, as I understand it. I haven't tried to throw them directly up into there yet, but most of the time they always edge into your crosshairs. There's a fixed range for where your dynamite actually explodes, and of course, getting used to that range and using that range on nanobots, just running around tossing at that range, exploding it, so you know exactly what that range is very, very important. Learning further shots and so on, and more difficult shots is something that of course you guys can also practice on, is to have infinite dynamite cooldown. This is just to toss it around and look at it. If you toss it in an angle, a lot of time you will have to toss and then quickly adjust a little bit down and then shoot and so on, because you have to get used to it. Also in general, just getting used to throwing the dynamite, as they fly a little bit wonky, at least in my opinion. I feel that you know, that they fly in like a weird arch style, which I wasn't completely used to, so that's also something. Besides that, then you combine a lot of this, and that is really the best way of doing this. You toss dynamite, you explode it, you scope around corners, you kite backwards, you kite in, you jump shot, and so on. And using all of those to combine together. And I would always recommend, you know, focusing a little bit on that coach gun, but also getting used to, you know, sniping with your scope and then firing from the hip fire, right? Getting used to that is very, very important. So you kind of, I land the headshot, okay, I'll follow up with my hip fire, or okay, I'm getting pushed, I get used to tracking with the hip fire and then scoping in and so on. As I don't feel that a lot of people need time to get used to hip fire as much as they should use on getting used to the scope time. Now, this is really a good guide on that. So I hope you guys like this. I will be bringing more of these guides on Ashe, since I'm probably playing her a lot myself in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, press like if you did and dislike if you did. Now drop your opinions on Ashe down in that comment section. I would love to read them before I make more videos. Also, if you have video requests on her specifically, down in those comment section, I will probably make a comment, or you guys can comment on them, and I'll read those and make sure I can bring you guys hopefully some good tutorials. As always, guys, please take care of yourself, stay positive. I love you guys very, very much. My name is Jonal, and keep the enemy in your crosshair.